Hello, YouTube. How are you doing on this fine Thursday? One more trading day to go. We have like 1 hour of this day, and then we have one day tomorrow. We will dive into silver. I think silver is a great opportunity. Again, silver. The opportunity in silver comes around very often, very rarely. I was about to say very rarely, because most often, it does nothing and just completely it's a miserable thing. But I think we are at that point in time where it should be on your radar. And I will show you why I think silver is a great investment. Um, if you want to learn a lot more about silver and precious metals, there is a guy called the Market Sniper, the Francis Hunt on the Market Sniper. He's really good at explaining things, more in depth with what's going on and all that. And if you want to learn something about silver, that's one guy to go through. But I want to show you some charts here on silver, various ratios. The ETFs is up big today. And why? I think, we are on the verge of a big move in silver here, where it has basically done nothing for like 45 years, 40 years, 45 years. Um, so yeah, and as always, I hope you want to join me on the Substack. Again, that's where I do videos for members on a daily basis. Just released two. We have, I think there are 10, there are more, but there are 10 stocks here that is on the verge of big breakouts. One has already been broken. Two actually has already been broken to the upside, and the others looks primed. And also almost like a daily video update on the uranium. So you can check that out if you want to. Uh, Hope you will join me there. And silver. What's happening with silver? I've been bullish on silver basically since mid 2020. And yeah, from 2020, mid 2020 to like maybe a little bit before mid. So like from June 2020 until now, I've been really bullish on silver, even though it has been really painful. I still have, the overall economy, all that good stuff. Again, visit themarketsniper.com for all that details. Silver is going to be a big player here for the rest of this decade. I would be extremely surprised if not to. So, silver, what is happening on a broader scale here? Again, we can zoom out here. This is like a 10-year view, 15-year view. Turned extremely, extremely, extremely bullish when we finally broke 26 on the silver chart. Why? We had the peak from 2011. We had a rail coming all the way down, basically breaking 26 with momentum. We rallied to 30. We checked back to the 26. So again, 26 is a big moment, a big level. The reason why it is also really important is because this 26 was the big floor until broken, obviously. Back in 2011 and 12, you can see we had that blow off top there. We hammered once, twice, three times, boom, game over. That's why the breakout that happened like half a year ago was so important. 26, getting above that big, big breakdown level there. And if my memory serves me well, I think we have a level here as well. Yep, this is 1980. Also here you had a little bit of a gap down here at the 26. So, but anyways, we have talked a lot about silver now here on the long-term stuff. Short term again, we broke 26. We retested it, came up again, actually a second test here. But actually, this chart here is identical to the 4-year chart over here. It's just one fractal on a shorter time frame, but the same pattern. If you do like a boss pattern copy, you can see that for yourself. We're bouncing up from that big trend line today. If it holds true, we're going to rally here really soon on silver. Cool, really cool. Here we have some charts that I will not go into too much detail, but again, this is silver measured in world currency units. So it's measured against the big bag of currency. So you're getting a little bit more of an average or broader view of where silver is going. Again, here, this was the big breakout on 26 on the USD. On the USD, you can see we had a 15-year break here. In this case, it is at roughly around 19, and we have basically been going up ever since. We tagged the bull trap high here from 2008, 11 came down, tested it again. So you can see over here, we're just fighting that level basically. But overall, silver has broken out against the big basket of currencies. That's all you need to know, really. That is basically all you need to know. And we could actually add in a trend line from the lower there to the upper there, and that is kind of like a little bit of a potential again target here when things gets moving. So you're talking like a double. In this case here, we are measuring silver against this is the silver to gold ratio. In my opinion, we are so damn early, and we're just trying to break these very, very big resistances that is coming down on top of us here. We have a big resistance line coming down here where we basically measure from the highs of 2011, 2021, and then you can see here we actually had a breakout here. We can zoom in. We actually broke here on that big momentum move in early 2024. The retest didn't hold. We came all the way down again into this big cluster, and it's now trying to push it a bit here again. On the shorter time frame here, we have like a 4-year trend line here, which is the big grind line. Again, we broke it there, came down again, all the way back in, and now we're trying to hold again here. So still very early for silver when you measure against gold. And it is my opinion, if you take the gold to silver ratio, that we're going to see at least 15 to 1 in the silver to gold ratio. Again, not tomorrow, obviously, but in the future. And potentially intraday, you could see single-digit silver to gold ratio. It sounds insane, but that is my view. And right now we are at like 82 to 1. I have been making a video on that, both on the Substack, also on YouTube, on why I think we're going to reach those gold to silver ratios. So this means in this case that we're going to rally. We're going to zoom way out here. We're going to reach these highs up here. Again, this is not tomorrow, but again, there are some Fibonacci extensions that is pointing to that is actually the case, with some potential overshooting there, getting into the 0 to 1 there, but still very early for silver, very early. Here we have silver measured against inflation. And why is that important? Because you want to be in an asset that is outperforming inflation. Otherwise, you're not really gaining anything. And we did have a break again early 2024. We finally broke the trend line from the 2011 highs down to the 2020 highs. And we broke, back tested, and it seems like we're going to go higher. We have a big resistance coming up here. Again, that's the bear market breakdown here, which we haven't reached yet when adjusted for inflation. So you still have, in my opinion, some ways to go before we hit big resistance, roughly 20% outperformance there. But overall, again, looks really primed for me. We have a big rounding bottom. Again, I do think we're going to see the highs, then we're going to stall a bit, and then we are actually going to go way higher. Silver measured against the SPX. Again, we want to take the big high that we have in 2011 down to here, and you can actually see we're trying to break it here. Again, I will be really bullish on this ratio when we get above these internal stuff here, these highs here. That's when I think it's going to be no contest really for silver. But we have gone sideways actually for like 6 years in silver, with some heavy outperformance here in 2020, and then we just spent some time above that trend line, hammering down below, testing from below, testing. That is why 0.006 roughly, 0.0063 to be exact, is so important for this ratio. And that's when things starts rolling for silver in favor of silver when measured against the SPX. Here we have a little bit of a not the best trend line, but we have again the highest 2011. And then we are trying to break that one there. Ideally, I would have liked to have like a contact here, right? Because then you know exactly that trend line is really important. But again, you can see if we, first off here, you can actually see we broke it here, then you can extend it here. So each time the angle of the resistance, the downtrend resistance, is getting weaker and weaker because it's getting less steep. So again, we are on the verge of actually quite a big break here in relation to the NASDAQ. Who would have thought that silver is looking stronger and stronger against the NASDAQ? No one. Here we have silver divided by the Dixie. Why is that important? I think it's important to measure the silver again against a basket of currencies. And again, you have it here, the same thing we broke. Again, we're into a little bit of resistance going on there at roughly 0.3. But again, overall, you can see we had a little bit of a expanding formation here. We broke, we're testing it now. We probably gonna go higher. Again, it's all about probabilities, but overall, I think we are very early still in silver when you measure it against most things because it hasn't really been performing that well. Only we had like a brief moments, where it did well, in the past 20 years, but other than that, nothing much really. Here we have to reverse it. So we have the M2 money supply first, so we want this one to go down. The reason is if I do it the other way, I could actually invert that, by the way. Yeah, cool. We have the silver divided by the M2 money supply. And clearly you can see that we have a big trend line going across here. That is basically the bottom that we need to, or the ceiling of the bottom that you need to get above, right? So you have the left shoulder there, weird head, and then you have the right shoulder here. Not picture perfect by any means, but again, getting above, in this case right here, that is when silver has bottomed out against the money supply, and silver will then outperform money supply. And if there's one thing that we know about the money supply, that is they are printing like a madman right now. I read somewhere like last week they printed it in 6 days. They printed it a third of a trillion USD dollars, USD, a third of a trillion in 6 days. They are printing 1 trillion roughly on average every 90 days. And if we can break here, you will have silver outperform that ratio again. It's gonna be wild, really. The big, when things go really mad is obviously when you take out the 1980, 2011, and then again when you get to there. But for right now, the first step is basically to get that neckline taken out, and then we can rally, pull back, and then potentially break. And yeah, it again, silver is still early, and we've basically been spending 10 years building this huge potential bottom here. Again, confirmation above, you know, we need to rally roughly like 10, 12% in relation to the M2 money supply before we get that breakout. Do I think it will happen? Yes, I do. I really do. We have to invert back here and look at a very important also ratio. Well, not as important actually when I just saw it. I thought we were going to something differently. We have here silver measured against the median cost of a house. The median, I can't remember the exact word, but the MSPN, that is the median sales price for a new house sold in the United States. So basically, the pricing of houses in the US. And you can see also here that we have where silver outperformed heavily the housing market. Again, we have now come down, 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 and we have broken the trend line. We have tested it again, and now it looks like we want to rally. The target is the big 40-year, 50-year long trend line. And then we'll probably pull back, and then we will probably break on the fourth. And at that point in time, you're breaking a 50-year trend line where silver will be a better investment than housing. And the reason is probably because the bond market is, at that point in time, and rates, is way too high for people to actually, invest heavily into that. So we have silver divided by the BAC. BAC is Bank of America. And you can see here, again, this is like an 8-year fractal. You can see the bouncing here, and now we're just hammering on that triangle. So if we can break, let's remove these one here because they are basically, if we can break here, in my opinion, you can again see the rounding bottom, and then we're probably going to attack the big 50-year trend line up here. That is just a major breakout where you have silver basically outperforming one of the biggest banks in the world, Bank of America. I would assume they're the biggest, but they are not the biggest, but they are big. So basically meaning silver outperforming the banking sector. That is music to my ears, that is for sure. So here, last but not least, we are going to, I thought I've added that one here. I actually want to do this on the fly here because again, this is the same thing. where for some reason it won't let me. Yeah, here it is. Cool. So here we have one of the more important ones. That is the silver divided by global U.S. debt. Basically, like the bond market kind of thing, right? They are so much related to each other. We can zoom in here. Same thing here again. You can see we have broken. We broke in May 2024. A lot of things happened, in that early quarter two, 2024 for silver. We had silver breaking out, on its own and against the basket of currencies, against the debt. A lot of things happened there against the CPI. So a lot of big measures were taken out at that point in time. So again, we have the highs of 2011, that little spike there in 2020. We've been grinding ever since, and now we're coming out of that trend line there. The big level here is roughly here, because we have this long-term 50-year trend line coming down there. If we can break that, you have a scenario again where silver will be outperforming US debt. And again, if that's one thing that we know is that the US debt will not go down. Meanwhile, it will go up heavily and you will have silver outperform that. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Here we have not the last, I have one more weird chart is actually silver. The silver juniors divided by silver. Obviously, for the mining sector to really do well, you want to outperform the metal that they are producing, in this case, the silver. So you can see here we have like an 8-year, maybe more like 8-year trend line here of fractal. You could actually maybe, this is even better because that is yeah, probably like anyways, here or there, each to its own, it doesn't matter. Um, 1 second here, I want to remove that. There it is. It looked very different. Here we have it. So we have the lower here. This is actually the miners. I thought it looked weird. We had the miners again. It hasn't really been outperforming the metal itself just yet. Here we are below the trend line here, but we're actually coming back up again here. So what I want to see is actually a very clear short-term trend line getting taken out, and that's that. We have the pivots low in here. Then we are testing, so we're basically having like a rounding bottom and a false breakdown. So if we can start to move like that, then you have the miners outperform silver. And if there's one thing that we know, that is that silver is actually, the miners are really, really, what's it called? Um, Volatile. But again, if we can start to have the miners outperform the metal, it's going to be, it's going to be quite fun, really. So, and again, this is also some of the things that you're seeing, that the miners are starting to actually move, but they haven't really been breaking out against the silver itself. That's basically what we're waiting for here. And the level to look for is roughly 0.43 on the ratio against silver. So that's going to be fun when and if that happens. That's for sure. Before we go, I want to show you again silver here. The miners are also looking quite good. We had the downtrends breaking. We had one there in 16, and then in 20, in 20, and then we had that big break in 2024, April, May. Breaking out, retesting, resuming higher. We will have the fourth touch here, which will probably break on maybe a little dibble, and then we go. But silver miners looks really, really promising here. The juniors looks good. Gold miners, you can see gold miners are breaking like a 15-year trend line also here, for the past few months. The juniors are, you can see here also that we have the GDX breaking. So the mining sector in general looks really, really promising. And that is good because, as I've been saying many times, is that the mining sector as a whole is very much related to the silver to gold ratio. So if that starts to go up, the ratio, the mining sector across the board will do well. We're talking iron, copper, silver, gold, uranium, you name it. They will do really well in that environment. So that is all that I have for you guys. And yeah, if you like the content, please, like and subscribe and all that good stuff. And especially go to the SOXX if you want to see more. Have a great day, guys. It's been a pleasure. A long video, but again, I think covering silver, right now again is potentially a huge moment in time here. You can see a monthly close above also. So again, silver is yeah, it looks really, really good for once in the silver space. Basically, it has been looking great ever since that 2020, excuse me, that $26 break on silver. Let me know, guys, in the comments below if you think if you're on the same page. Again, I think we're still very early, and there's a lot of people that has been burned and worn out by 40 years of big promises. But I do think we are very close to hopefully, hopefully get that push to the upside so we can have some relief in our investment when it comes to silver. Cheers, guys. Have a great day. Bye.